Hey guys, welcome back to another vlog. Today I wanted to talk about, very quickly, a subject that a student and I were talking about the other day, and that is about the walkability of cities and how that ties into the sense or the feeling of ownership over the place where the person lives. And the reason I say that in the back of a car here. It's just a little bit comfortable, it's a good place to sit down. But I have felt like, since I've lived abroad, there have been very few places that I would consider to be walkable. Malaysia was partially walkable in some places, and Saudi Arabia was walkable only in specific areas, maybe downtown, in a place called Medas in Al Riyadh, but most of the rest of the city wasn't walkable. A lot of the Philippines also isn't walkable. And what I've noticed when I mention that is that I found, just anecdotally speaking, that when a city isn't a walkable city, people have less of an attachment to the place. And I found that in these places that I mentioned, people litter considerably more than in places where, you can walk around and enjoy the place. Now, of course, some places are really, really hot. And it makes it harder to walk around those places. And some places are very humid, and likewise, it's quite challenging. But there are efforts that governments can make to make those places walkable. So for example, I come from a place that's extremely, extremely cold. And so in the wintertime, the government used to, what would you call that? Shovel out the sidewalks and like lay down salt so people could still walk on the sidewalks even in the wintertime. And in a little bit of a bigger city next to where I lived, in Duluth, Minnesota, a lot of the city was actually connected by sky bridges. So in the wintertime, when it's exceptionally cold outside, like really, really, really cold, like minus 20 Celsius or whatever, you would be able to, you wouldn't have to go outside. Once you would get to the downtown area, you could basically walk to many different locations that were all connected by something called a sky bridge. And that's just like a little platform that connects two buildings. And in this case, it connected many, many buildings. Sometimes it was connected on the second floor, sometimes it was connected underground. And this is also true in parts of Seattle, Washington. To avoid the rain, they also had a lot of the city connected. And I believe in Montreal as well, Montreal in Canada, a lot of the city is actually connected underground for the extreme harsh winters. So it's a matter of the government really putting in the effort to make the city livable and walkable. Now, when I asked that question, I shared my idea with one of my students, and I had asked if she heard about this before, and she thought it was an interesting idea. So then after class, I actually looked it up on ChatGPT, and I did find that there are studies, there is research that's been conducted, and it has found that in cities where it's more walkable, people tend to litter less. It's statistically proven. So that I found that interesting. And that there were 3 studies that they brought up. Another one was that people who lived in walkable cities felt a stronger sense of community and a stronger sense of ownership to the city that they belong to. So this is just a quick talk, but I would find it advantageous for any government, especially governments that have like a lot of resources like Brunei, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, that even given their harsh environments, we had harsh environments in the United States as well, but I think they should try to develop places where people can walk. I think that the more walkable a city, the healthier. And I was just talking in terms of being part of a community, having ownership of the area, not wanting to litter as much. But another byproduct of walking everywhere is that you will tend to burn off fat. You're not going to be dealing with as many maybe obesity issues. Of course, diet and sleep and these things play a huge part, but if you were to increase taxes on petrol and increase the subsidies on public transit and on walkable areas and to develop sidewalks and things like that, I think that would help counter a lot of the overweight, obesity issues that we have as well. So that, guys, is my quick talk today. Just a quick 5-minute talk, but I would also like to hear what you had to say, and also hear what you have to share. Like, has this been the case for you? And also, do you live in a walkable city right now? Now, what I mean by walkable is like, I mean, of course I can walk pretty much everywhere here, but it's quite dangerous at times. Like, there is no sidewalk. You're just walking along the road, and if somebody's not paying attention, or if they're fiddling on their phone, or if they had too much to drink, for example, they could just slam into you. And accidents also used to happen even in places that didn't have, drunk drivers. Like in Saudi Arabia, there were so many accidents just from irresponsibility. Irresponsibility on the behalf of the drivers. People not paying attention to those people who were walking on the streets. People still walk, but obviously it's a life and death situation in some places. So anyways, also, if you're from a tropical climate, what has your city, if you think that you live in a walkable environment, what did your city do to kind of counter like the harshness of maybe where you live? I'm interested to hear about that. So for example, again, what we had in the winters were like underground parts of the city and city blocks that were connected with sky bridges. But I'm also interested to hear what other countries have done, countries that also have harsh climates, whether it's hot or rainy or whatever. Anyways, guys, take it easy, enjoy the day, and I will talk to you all another time. Bye-bye, take care.
The house the other day.